All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Welcome back for another Grow Nebraska webinar. Shout out to everyone that's attending live. I see a few of you are hopping on, and there might be some more that will hop on later on. But we're just going to go ahead and get right started. Our featured sponsor is Omaha Community Foundation. A huge shout out to them. Be sure to check out their website, and without our sponsors, none of these would be possible to offer to the public. So we're super grateful. Our featured member for this month is Kearney Area Chamber of Commerce. They joined Grow Nebraska in 2010, so they're going on their 13th year with the Grow Nebraska Foundation, and we've done a lot with them. And if you were at Market Tech, you may have seen them there as well. And this week's presenter is Joe Sova, who is actually a Market Tech speaker this year, actually, not this past year. So you may recognize him, and he's actually done a previous webinar as well. And we are actually going to be doing a series with Joe. So he will be presenting 2 more times within this year. So be on the lookout for those. And as always, if you have any questions for him, be sure to pop them in the chat, and he will answer them as he goes or at the end. So I will go ahead and pass it over to you, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe. Great being back here again. Like you said, I've presented before and was at Market Tech and a fantastic event. If you didn't make it this year, mark it down for next year, because it is really a one-of-a-kind experience, especially with the local stuff that happens there. So excited to be here. You're going to discover a lot on this call that could change the way you do your business, let alone your goal setting. All right. So we're going to forget about goal setting and actually go and get the goals that you've always wanted, right? A lot of us have goals that maybe we set and things happen, right? Life happens, gets in the way, whatever it may be. And we're always kind of pushing forward towards that. But the fact that you're here means that you're looking for something more, right? It means that you have a desire, a vision, something that you want to do more than what you have now. And that's a fantastic thing. That's the way my mind works. Obviously, that's the way your mind works, or again, you wouldn't be here on this topic. And so excited to show you this. And really a lot of people like yourself may come here thinking it's just going to be a step-by-step, framework. And we'll get to some of that. We will, but you're going to find this is much, much more. This is actually going to change the way your mind works around goal setting. And that's the secret ingredient. That's really what we're going to do here, because when you get your mind right, that's when you get your goals. All right. And this all makes sense. So stick with me. It'll make sense as we go through the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen now and start my PowerPoint, or slideshow, I should say. And we'll get started here. So we're going to use the most powerful tool that you have to achieve your dreams now. And in this, what you'll find, it's not some far off distant land, right? It's not some someday that many of us get caught up on. This can happen right now, right today. And that is super exciting for most people. All right. So again, forget goal setting. We're going to do something a little bit different today. And we're going to use the most powerful tool available to reach your goals. All right. And there's 2 parts of this tool. If you haven't noticed yet, that tool is your own mind. All right. It's your mindset, your brain power, the tool that we all have. And there's 2 parts of that. You may or may not know this, but there's the conscious mind and there's the subconscious mind. And both of these are very powerful pieces of what we're doing today and just in your day-to-day life. But as you'll discover, there's one piece of this that is even more powerful, that when we tap into it, that's the subconscious mind part, it changes the game. And that's what most people miss, quite honestly. The clients I work with and the individuals I work with usually come to me where they're putting in a lot of effort. They're putting in a lot of trial. They're doing things the hard way, if you will, right? Our subconscious mind is designed to work in the background. It's designed to work whether you're awake or asleep, right? When we're sleeping, it's still there. It's still regulating our body. It's still doing all kinds of things. And we can use that same power for our goal setting and goal getting. All right. So that's what we're going to get into today. So very exciting stuff. As Zoe mentioned, my name is Joe Sova, and I have a few parts of my world that I'll share with you. I'm an entrepreneur. So I've been working with entrepreneurs for nearly 20 years, helping them achieve peak performance and things of that nature. I am one myself. So I have my own business. It's called Ideal Payroll Service. We're in Omaha, and we help businesses really scale and streamline their business so that they can get to the next level and focus on what matters in their business. All right. I've had that company since 2011. And so not only is everything we talk about today, it's not just theory. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. I've used this in my own business. I've used this for my own goal getting, and it's proven it works, which is fantastic. I'm also a peak performance coach. So I help others through this process where we set up their actual goals that maybe they've wanted something for a long time and they want to get to this next level. We map out a step-by-step process, and I'm going to share that with you today, actually, as being here on this call. I'm a certified NLP practitioner. If you're not familiar with NLP, it's all about mindset. It's neuro-linguistic programming, and basically it's the language of the mind. And I'm going to work some of that into our program today. And most proud, I'm a Pop-A-Shot champion. So if you know the little basketballs with the mini hoops, we have one of those in our basement, and I'm the champion of our house. I have 2 8-year-old boys, so very proud of that as well. No, it's a fun game. We love playing it, and just something fun we like to do. So, we'll start here because most people know of goal setting, and most people know about, you've likely tried yourself, right? I have set goals before. I have done this before. But maybe it didn't quite work out, right? Or maybe you partially got what you wanted, but didn't quite work out fully. But most people in life have set goals one way or another. And a lot of times we might get what we want, but a lot of times it doesn't even hardly move the needle, right? Maybe it phases out after a couple weeks or a month, and we forget about it, and we got to go back and reset our goals, right? And that's due to some of the common mistakes out there. So that's where we're going to start, is really things to shift in your mindset when it comes to your goal setting, okay? And this first thing is toward versus away motivated, right? If you take anything from this program today, this is a game changer, okay? So you'll want to take some notes and write down what we discuss about being toward motivated versus away motivated, okay? Now, neither one in and of itself is better or worse than the other. It's just simply different. And most of us are wired one way or the other naturally, okay? And it's okay. It's not better or worse necessarily. When it comes to goal getting, right, we do want to have a specific way of doing this, all right? Now, let me describe what the difference is here between being toward motivated versus away motivated, okay? Think of it this way. Being toward motivated is you're moving towards what you want. All right. I want to perform better. Right. I want to have a business that operates without me. I want to earn $1 million this year. Right. You're moving towards a goal. And that's important, right? Because as you'll find in a little bit, when you work towards something, that motivation continues for that goal. All right. Now, the opposite may be away motivated. Okay. These are things where you want to get away from something that's motivating you to take action. Right. This would be, for example, I don't want to be poor. Okay. I don't want to be broke. I don't want a business that drains me all day long, right? I don't want to be stuck in the weeds of my business and doing all the things. I don't want to be overweight, right? Or whatever it would be. Toward is I want to be healthy. Away would be I don't want to be unhealthy. Okay. So same in theory, right? Or on the surface, it may look the same, right? You're moving towards a better picture of health or a better business or more income, whatever it is. But you can see the subtle difference that most people miss of being a negative, right? I don't want X versus a positive towards I do want Y. And that's what's critical. All right. When you're setting your goals, and in order to get your goals and use your subconscious mind to get your goals, what you'll find is that you really need that toward motivated goal setting, right? You need that toward motivated mentality. And that is what is critical when you're creating any goal for yourself. Okay. And here's why. All right. I'll explain why, because this is important to understand as well. Let's use an example of if you're being chased by a bear. Okay. You can either run towards safety, okay, and you're going to run towards safety, or you can run away from the bear. Again, seems like the same thing on the surface, but when you're running away from the bear, all right, let's just say you're running and you're dodging and you're climbing the rocks and you're going through trees and you're jumping over canyons and all this stuff. This bear is chasing you. Eventually, the bear gets tired, right? Or you find somebody else to chase and he stops chasing you. Okay. Now, what happens to your motivation to run after the bear stops? The motivation is gone, right? So when you're away motivated, as soon as you get past whatever you were trying to get away from, you stop. Now let's look at this from an example of money situation, right? I don't want to be broke. Okay. As soon as you get over broke, you start to lose motivation because that's what your subconscious mind has registered as your goal, right? I don't want to be broke. And as soon as you start making some money and you're past that stage of feeling broke, you no longer have the motivation to get to maybe the $1 million, right? $1 million is way above broke, but so is maybe $10,000. Okay. So a very big difference there when it comes away motivated versus toward motivated. If you're running towards safety, right? If you're running towards safety, whether the bear is chasing you or not, you're going to continue, right? And so from the money example, whether you're at 10,000 or 100,000, you're going towards that $1 million. Okay. You're going to continue that journey and continue that goal aspect all the way towards your goal. Okay, so very important concept when it comes to all of this goal setting as being toward motivated versus away motivated. Okay. Next mistake is absolutes. All right. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. All right. You Star Wars fans might recognize that, but it's true with goal setting as well. Okay. When we deal in absolutes, we're really limiting ourselves. And when you limit yourself, that's when goals can get challenging. Okay, so let's look at this by another example of what I mean. Okay, New Year's rolls along and you say, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to the gym 7 days a week. Guaranteed. This is my goal. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, week 1, that happens. Wonderful. You get knocked out 7 days. Week 2 comes around, you knock out 6 days. Your mind starts thinking, wait a second, your goal was absolutely 7 days a week. Right? Is this still really worth it? The next week comes around and you're like, well, I missed 1 day last week. Is it going to hurt if I miss 2 days this week or maybe 3, right? By week 4 or 5, well, you know, I've missed 3 days already this week. I'll make it up later, or it's just not even worth getting to it, right? So you can see how detrimental it can be to work in absolutes. All right. So when you're goal setting and goal getting, it really is about giving yourself flexibility and range. All right. Maybe it's not, I work out 7 days a week, right? Because if you hit that, you hit it. And if you don't, you don't. There's no in between. Okay. Maybe it's, I'm doing my best to be healthy this week, right? And I'm going to do 5 days a week or more. Right? There's different ways to phrase that so that your mind can register it, because what the subconscious mind registers is what the subconscious mind will go get. And you can see with those previous examples that if you miss 1 day, it can snowball and impact everything. So dealing in absolutes can be a huge problem with your goal setting. All right. Finally, the last mistake we'll cover today, there are more, okay? There are more that obviously can be made, but these are the 3 big ones that really, when you shift these, you're going to shift everything you do with goal setting. But beyond achievable, this is part of SMART goals, which we'll talk about later, but it's an important concept because let's say you set a goal. Well, I'll tell you a story. I had a client who had a goal. They came to me the first time, our first meeting, said, listen, I want to make $100 million in my business. That's what I want to do. Okay. It's possible, right? There are businesses that do that. But I asked him, I said, okay, are you making $10 million right now? The answer was no. I said, okay. Are you making $1 million right now in your business? The answer was no. Okay. Are you making $100,000 in your business? No. All right. This person wasn't even at a level where $100 million was achievable, right? They were just starting their business. They were somewhere between the $10,000 to $50,000 range a year, which again is good business. They're off to a good start. It doesn't mean they can never get to the $100 million mark. However, going from $10,000 to $100 million, there's a huge chasm there, right? And our minds aren't going to register that. It's simply going to think, oh boy, that's a big jump there, right? If you're looking over the Grand Canyon, yeah, that's a huge jump, right? But if you're looking over a small stepping stone, okay, I can do that, right? And so going beyond achievable with your goals, while noble, can cause problems with the way everything is registered in your mind. And that's going to affect your performance because our mind affects our performance directly, right? When you get your mind right, you get your goals. All right. So keeping those achievable, yet pushing those limits is a fun balance. And that's something that I work with clients on regularly because it's a common mistake as well. Now let's talk SMART goals. We all have probably heard this acronym of SMART goals. It's common out there. And it is helpful. I'll say that. And you'll find it's missing something, right? Because if SMART goals worked as they are traditionally taught, then they would work for everybody that uses it, right? And we know that's not true. I have tried SMART goals the traditional way. And again, it's helpful. However, it is missing a piece. And that's where we build in the brain-based style of SMART goals. Okay, we add something to each letter. And that's what we'll cover today. And so this is a tool you can use while you're setting your own goals. All right. If you're not familiar, SMART goals it's been around a long time. You can Google it. We don't have time on this webinar to go through every detail of its background. That's been around a long time in order to make goals specific, measurable. And so this is what the SMART stands for: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Okay. And that's all important. You do need all those things. And there's a second step that you'll find is even more powerful when you add it together. Okay. So for each letter, we'll go through each one. So for example, S is specific in the traditional sense. And when we implement our brain-based style to this, it adds the word sensory. Now, what does that mean? That means you can feel it, right? You can visualize it. You can see it. You can hear the sounds, right? If my goal is to live on the beach every day, then I can see the beach. I can hear the seagulls. I can hear the waves crashing, right? I can sense it. I can smell the smell of the ocean, right? That's sensory. You get in sensory, and it's going to amplify that specific goal even more, right? M is for measurable. And we add meaningful to that, right? You can have a goal that's specific and measurable. If it has no meaning to you inside yourself, there's no reason to go after it. And this is a trip up as well with a lot of people is, yes, I have this SMART goal laid out. There's no meaning behind it. I'm doing it for somebody else because, my spouse wanted me to quit smoking, or my business partner wants us to go this direction. If it's not meaningful to you, then you'll likely will struggle reaching that goal, right? So make it meaningful to you. The A is achievable. We talked a little bit about that on the last slide, where you make it achievable, right? It's not some huge number that is impossible to achieve. So you do need it achievable. And then we add on as if it's done now, right? So when you're writing out your goals, this isn't, I hope to have $1 million someday. It's you're sensing it, you're feeling it, it's meaningful to you, and you're writing it out as if you already have it. I am a millionaire. I am healthy, right? I am XYZ, whatever your goal may be. So you're writing it out. Yes, it's achievable. And yes, as if you already have it, because that's what your mind will go and get. R is relevant. So it has to be relevant to what you're doing, right? Relevant to, if you run a business and your goal is to, be in a Hollywood movie, it might not be congruent there, right? So it has to be relevant to what you're doing. And it also has to be responsible to everybody around you. All right. And what that means is it not only impacts you, right? Your goals, and this is something that a lot of people miss as well, but your goals not only impact you, they impact all those people around you, right? Your family, maybe your staff, right? Maybe the vendors you use, maybe, your friends in the community, right? Whatever it may be. So it's responsible to all of those, and a positive for everybody around you is responsible for all. And finally, the T in SMART is time. You need some specific time, right? If you say, yes, I want to be a millionaire, right? Okay, great. That could happen anytime, right? So yeah, I am a millionaire by January 1st, 2025, whatever it would be, right? So that's timed. And then we already talked about the second half of this, the brain-based side of this, the mental side, which is going towards what you want, right? The opposite example of this would be, I'm not poor, right, by next year. Instead, it would be, I am wealthy by this time next year, or whatever it would be, right? So again, SMART goals are critical, and you can use this framework to amplify everything that you've ever known about SMART goals. Okay. Now, there's a process with goal setting as well that I'm going to share. Again, we won't have time to get into every single step of this. I'm happy to share after Q&A or whatever it would be. But this is a proven process as well. And what most people do is start with the beginning, right? I have a goal to be a millionaire. So what's my first step to be a millionaire? And you may not realize this yet or not, but starting with the first step is the opposite of what you want to do. Okay. So most people start with the beginning. Where's my first step? And the reason that happens or it's the opposite of what you want to do, is because that's when overwhelm sets in, right? From here to a millionaire seems like a large process, and you start to get overwhelmed. Geez, there's a lot of steps. Maybe I don't even know where to start, right? Like this first step is going to trip me up. And then after the first step, I have step 2 and 3, and I don't really want to do those. That's going to take a long time. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, right? And that's when our goals stop, right? If you at the beginning of the year, right? Oh, I want to go to the gym, but geez, I've got to get out of bed first and then get my shoes ready and then pack my gym bag. And then I'm going to have to shower there and then drive to work. Oh, that sounds like a lot to do, right? And we just get stuck in that. So what you may not realize yet is starting with the beginning is the wrong way to do it, right? So we need to start with the end, right? This is the process for achieving and getting your goals. Start with the end in mind, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, been around for almost 100 years, I think, right? Stephen Covey, if you haven't read it, great book. But that's the advice in there, right? Start with the end in mind. And it holds true in many parts of life, including, as you're noticing, in getting your goals, right? Start with the end in mind. So what does that mean? It means working backwards step by step from where you want to be. Okay. If I want a $1 million business in 12 months, right? I have my SMART goal laid out and I know exactly what I want as if I already have it. Then I go to what's the last step, right? What's the last step? I work myself backwards. What's the last step I need before I'm a millionaire, right? Maybe that is I'll be hiring one more person, right? I'll be hiring my 10th employee in my business, right? What's the step before that? You start to work backwards. I'll need job applications to put out. Okay, what's the step before that? I'll need to write a job description. What's the step before that? I'll need to create a process and system for them to follow. What's the step before that, right? And you can see working backwards, now you start to put it step by step in your own mind as exactly what needs to happen to get to the end, right? When you start with the end in mind, that's when you'll reach your goals, okay? I had a client who came to me for this exact process. And actually, this person came to me in their business and they weren't entirely happy with what they were doing. They actually had dreams of doing more, right? They wanted bigger and better, and they were doing okay financially, and they just weren't super fulfilled in what they were doing. They were getting caught up in the weeds of their business and weren't really fulfilled in what they were doing, but they had big dreams, big vision of getting more. And so we were working in a one-to-one goal setting session together, and this came up, right? Because I could tell they were kind of off, right? Their energy was a little bit off. They were a little just ho-hum about the goal we were setting with the way their business was running now. And I said, I stopped everything and I said, you don't really seem to be into this, right? What's going on here? And the person responded back, well, I feel like I have to do things this way, but what I really would love to do is this. And so I asked them again, I said, okay, wave the magic wand over your business. What does that really look like for you? What would you really light you up and energize you every single day for your goals? And they painted, they perked up and painted this huge picture of, they would be traveling, they would be working remote, they would still have staff and employees, but things wouldn't be fully dependent on them. And everything shifted, right? They had a smile on their face, their eyes were lit up, and just everything they were talking about. And so what we did is this exact process. So we started with that end and we worked backwards. I said, well, what's the last step you need to get there? And what's the next step before that? And before that, and before that. And what that process is, it's called chunking it down, right? We're getting more detailed as we go. And it came down to, okay, what do you need 6 months before this happens? What do you need 3 months before this happens? What do you need in 1 week? Right. And that was something as simple as having a meeting with the existing staff on their team. Okay, what do you need in 5 days? Right. And that was writing out what they were going to say to their staff in this meeting and how to frame everything. Okay, what do you need tomorrow? Right? The first step was simply, right, taking a walk on their own and determining that, yes, this is really what they want. Right. So we worked this whole process from the forward or from the backwards all the way to forward to today. What do you need to do today? And the person got this look on their face and basically I said, what's going on? Right. We just went through all of this. Is everything okay? And he said, yeah, when you make it this easy, when the step-by-step is detailed down and chunked down this simple from the end to the beginning, I can't not do this. right? And they were excited, yet a little scared at the same time. But it really made it concrete that yes, this is achievable, and here's everything I need to do it, right? Because we started with the end in mind, it made things much, much easier, right? So really, it's taking one step at a time, starting at the end and working your way backwards, whether that's from 9 months to 6 months to 3 months to 1 month to a week to a day, right? And figuring out what are those steps. And when it's laid out that simple, you will find you can't not achieve the goal that you set out. It's that simple. And that's something I walk through with my clients. Okay. All right. So after we know what we want, right? After we create a SMART goal, we work out the process of what it is. This is where the power of your mind really comes in. All right. We're using that this entire time. You've likely noticed by now how that is a key component of all of this, is getting your mindset right, right? When you get your mind right, you get your goals. And when you use the power of your mind, this is an important last step that you can use to do it. Okay. And obviously, number one is deciding what you want. Okay. So you've got to know exactly what you want. That's what we talked about earlier, as far as seeing it, hearing it, feeling it, knowing it, all of that. Let's make sure you know what you want, right? Get the last step. We talked about that already, right? Know what that last step looks like for you. And maybe, let's say your goal is to live in, a 7-bedroom home, or whatever it would be, right? We'll just call it a mansion. I want to live in $1 million mansion. Of course, these days, I don't know if mansions are $1 million. They're probably like $5 million. Anyways, I want to live in $1 million mansion. And the last step to make it real to me, right? And all of us are going to have different last steps. The last step would be signing that paperwork, right? Being at the closing office and signing that paperwork. Once I do that, I know that house is mine, right? For others, it may be talking with the real estate agent and putting in an offer, right? As soon as I put in the offer, I know it's mine, or maybe getting the offer accepted, right? For somebody else, it might be when I take that first step, right? I put the keys in the door and I turn the key and that door opens up and I take that first step onto the marble floor. I'll know that house is mine, right? So understand what that last step is, that last sensory step that is going to tell you and tell your mind that this goal is done. It is completed. When you know that, you can start working towards that through all the other processes that we talked about. All right. And make a mental picture of this, right? Again, see it, hear it, feel it, right? What does that marble floor sound like when you step on it? Is there an echo, right? Is there, do you hear your footsteps on the floor? You can see the white marble with the gray tone in it, right? It's like, get a vivid mental picture as much as you possibly can. In your own mind, you're going to dissociate. Again, this gets a little deeper than we'll probably go into on this call. But you almost want to see yourself from a third party, right? When you close your eyes and you visualize something, you can see yourself walking into the door of that home, right? You can see yourself maybe putting money into the bank for your $1 million, right? Or going to a safe deposit box and pulling out cash, whatever it would be, right? But you can see yourself when you close your eyes and you visualize your own goal. You can see yourself doing it. That's what dissociate means, right? Timeline, again, we all have a timeline in our minds of how things operate, right? What is the future? What is the past? And so we can use that to our advantage with this process. And we want to breathe life into it, right? We all have life within us. We can breathe life into that goal and then add it to our future timeline as if it's done. Again, those last 4 steps, we don't really have time to get into that. But we certainly can touch on that later on. And so the most important part of all of this, right, as to what's next, is simply taking action and getting your goals. All right, that's what this is all about. It's not necessarily about figuring out the process and having it perfect. It's about using the tools that you have, the power of your mind, to go and get your goals whenever possible. Because when you get your goals, that's when life changes. That's when life gets better. That's when you're even more motivated towards your next goal, right? Things are constantly evolving, constantly changing. Your goals may shift here and there, and that's okay, right? Again, earlier we talked about not speaking in absolutes and being flexible. And so if your goal shifts along the way, that's okay. Maybe you had to take these few steps at first in order to get to the other side next. All right. So that's okay too. And when we're visualizing, I do want to cover this. Some people go through this process with me and they're blown away. They say, I didn't realize how powerful the mind is, right? When you visualize and when you put these mental pictures into your mind. But I want to go through an exercise now with you as you are here and watching this with me. And just take a minute, take a moment and go ahead and close your eyes right now and picture any goal, your goal, whatever that may be. All right. And if it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be exact. This is just an example. But if you don't have one, picture earning $1 million or whatever it would be, right? As long as you have a picture in your mind, get that picture there right now, whatever that looks like. And you may be familiar, maybe some of you aren't if you're young enough, but you may be familiar with the old TV control panels, right? If you went back to like even the 80s or before, TVs used to have knobs on them that you could turn, right? And you would turn one knob and the screen would get brighter. You turn another knob and it starts doing wavy lines and pictures and things like that, right? So imagine you have that capability, which you do, with the picture in your mind right now, right? So picture that goal in your mind, whatever that may be. And I want you to take the brightness of that picture and just crank that up. Just turn that knob up to make it even brighter than ever before, right? Go ahead and do that now. And then make that picture size, right? You might have a size of that picture. It might be in the middle or kind of larger or smaller, whatever it is. Just blow that picture up to be panoramic all around you so that it is everywhere around you, right? And go ahead and rather than having it be a still picture now, you can go ahead and hit play on your mental remote control and have it be a movie, right? Have it be a moving picture that you're seeing yourself accomplish this goal, right? It's bigger, it's brighter, it's right in front of you, and it's achievable more than ever before, isn't it? Right? That feels pretty good, doesn't it? You can open your eyes now if you'd like. If you want to stay in that picture and it feels great, go ahead and stay there. But that's what I mean by using the power of your mind to visualize, to see it, to hear it, to feel it, and really know what your goal is, right? That's how we get there. That's more motivating than anything, right? If you were to say, am I less motivated or more motivated after increasing the brightness and the size and everything with that picture, you're like most people, you're likely very motivated towards that goal now, right? And that's the power of the mind, right? If we were to do that same exercise with, I've done this before as well with a lemon, right? You imagine a lemon, and you can do this now as I talk. You can close your eyes and picture that lemon, right? That big, bright lemon that is sitting on your kitchen counter. It's there, right? You take a knife and you slice into that lemon and the juices are flowing out, right? The seeds are there. And you bring that up to your nose. You might notice, right? You're starting to have more saliva in your mouth than you did before, right? And when you open your eyes, there's no lemon there. It's not existing physically in your hand, but your mind could picture that. Your mind could see it and you could sense it. And it actually physically affected everything you were doing, right? If you do that exercise. And the same is with our goals. So you can see how powerful all of this is, right? When you set your goals, when you get your mind right with your goals, you will get your goals. It's that simple. And again, we have step-by-step processes that I walked you through earlier that would do all of that as well. So we'll open up for Q&A here in a minute. But it's starting to become clear at this point how important these steps are for you, for everything around you that you want into the future, right? This isn't a matter of I'm going to set goals and forget all about it because my day-to-day life happens. This is a matter of changing your life for the better for what you want, achieving peak performance, working your way towards more, because that's why you're here. We're here to learn, to grow, to evolve, to change, to make our businesses matter, right? Make your career better, right? That's why you're on this call with goal setting, and that's what you can do with everything we talked about today. All right. Now, if you are here or watching this, I am offering 3 free goal setting sessions. That's a $497 value. So you can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn or email me. And the first 3 people to do so will get a free goal setting session. I know we have a lot watching the recording. So if you're not the first 3, just we'll do something for you as well, as far as taking care of you and getting you something to help you out as well. So just go ahead and reach out. But the first 3 to reach out to me, we'll walk through that exact process where you have your goal and we will break it down step by step from the end all the way to the beginning so that it's so easy, so achievable that you can't not do it. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So we'll walk through that whole process. Typically takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, but I will do that with you absolutely free. No obligations on that, but just reach out to me, connect with me, and I'm here to help you. This is what I love to do. This is the performance coaching that I love to help businesses with, or entrepreneurs, or really anybody that is looking for more in life. If you're looking to achieve more, that's really what it's all about. Okay, so with that, we can open up for Q&A and see where that goes. I'll stop sharing my screen, and we'll go from there. I don't know, Zoe, you manage that, or if you want me to, or
Yeah, we'll see. Does anyone have any questions for Joe? I feel like my mind was just like opened up by that.
there is a lot there. And I went through it, again, we were limited on time. So a lot of that stuff, we can go much deeper. Again, I've got resources. Just reach out to me, and I'm happy to help anybody with further questions as well if they don't have them on here. But yes, clearly there's a lot happening. So.
Yeah, I took a lot of notes. All right, any questions for Joe? Make sure they have the time to type. Well, I'm not seeing any, so.
Okay.
All right, well, did you have anything else you last wanted to add, or do you want to just go ahead and wrap up?
We'll probably wrap up there. I would just add that, if you have something you want to achieve, it's important you go for it, right? Too many times, life gets in the way. Too many times things stop us, because of that mental chatter, right? Well, I'm not quite ready. I'm not quite good enough. I'll do this tomorrow. I've got to do this first, whatever it may be. But it matters. What you do matters. And so go for that goal. You're here for a reason, right? If you're watching this webinar, there's something likely within you that you want to achieve, that you want to do. And so go for it. That's the bottom line. When you do that, you will find more success than ever in life. And it's about busting through those limiting beliefs, that negative self-talk that, hey, I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready, or whatever it is. Any of that, we can blow past all of that. And if anybody needs help on that, again, reach out. Happy to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and wrap up. So I'll go ahead and do my little outro here. Let's see. It's like my screen share is not wanting to work correctly. Okay, there we go. It's like, it just keeps saying screen share loading. Okay, so huge shout out to Joe. Thank you so much for presenting today. And like I mentioned before, we will have Joe back in August, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you to everyone that attended live. And if you're watching the recording, we missed you, but we're so happy that you're viewing it. And I hope that you catch the part at the end where Joe is offering three free goal setting meetings. So if anyone has any questions, you can email me, zoe@grownebraska.org, or you can give our store a call, of course. We do have 2 upcoming trainings. The next one will be May 3rd, which is actually next Wednesday, with Maria Elena Duran, and she will cover how to make better business decisions with Google Analytics. And then we'll have one May 18th, which is a Thursday, and that will cover recruit and retain top talent by offering a retirement plan, and that is with Travis of First National Bank here in Kearney. And then we have another in-person training, which is a mini market tech workshop in Randolph, and that will be May 4th. All of those are on the Grow Nebraska website under the upcoming trainings tab. So if you haven't checked those out, we highly recommend that you go ahead and get registered. And then feel free to go ahead and leave the Grow Nebraska Foundation a Google review and let us know, what you love about the Grow Nebraska Foundation. And we would love to see that. So I will leave this up for just a second, just in case anyone's scanning the QR code. Okay. And that is all my announcements. So thank you again, Joe, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Zoe.